It's kind of wild, right? Like, we all want to live longer, but nobody wants to feel old. We want those extra years to be good years, full of energy and everything. And wouldn't you know it, there's actually some pretty amazing research coming out about how we might be able to do just that.
I know. It's incredible. We've been looking at some research on this diabetes drug, glibenclamide, and it might actually have some anti-aging properties too.
Yeah, that's what we're going to dive into today. Glibenclamide, a common diabetes drug, but it might be way more than that. We're going deep on some research about how this drug could be messing with the way our cells age.
And that's exciting, right? If it works the way it seems to in the lab, at least, this could really change how we think about getting older.
For sure.
Right.
So first things first, let's talk about cellular senescence. It's kind of a mouthful, but bear with me.
Right. Cellular senescence. It's basically like when our cells hit their expiration date, they stop dividing, start making new cells.
So they just kind of sit there,
Yeah.
like taking up space.
Well, yeah, kinda. But it's worse than that. They don't just stop working. They start causing problems. They release these inflammatory signals, like they're shouting at the other cells, hey, something's wrong here.
So it's like these retired cells are just grumpy and making trouble for everyone else.
Exactly. Like imagine a bunch of grumpy old retirees just complaining all the time. That's what these cells are doing, causing inflammation all over the place. And that inflammation, well, it's linked to a whole bunch of age-related diseases.
Oh, right, like the obvious ones, arthritis, heart disease.
Right. And dementia, too. And get this, the article we read called these senescent cells zombie cells.
Zombie cells, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, very visual, but it kind of gets the point across, you know. They're not alive in the same way as healthy cells, but they're not dead either. They just wander around spreading inflammation.
Okay, so we've got these zombie cells, and then there's glibenclamide. It's usually for diabetes, right? What does it do?
Right, glibenclamide. It's been used to treat type 2 diabetes for ages. Basically, it helps lower blood sugar. It does this by, by basically making the pancreas work harder, you know, produce more insulin. And it also makes the body cells more sensitive to that insulin.
So it's all about managing blood sugar, but now research is saying it might have this like bonus side effect, maybe some anti-aging stuff going on. How do they even figure that out? It's not like they were specifically looking for an anti-aging drug, were they?
No, they weren't. It was kind of an accident, actually. They were looking at different compounds that could affect these aging cells, and glibenclamide just kind of popped up.
Interesting. So what happened?
They started testing it, you know, first in cells in a dish and then in animals, and the results were, well, they were pretty surprising. It seemed like it could actually reverse some of those age-related changes in the cells.
Wow. Okay, so we have a diabetes drug that might also be an anti-aging drug. But how does that even work? How does a drug that lowers blood sugar suddenly start affecting how our cells age?
Well, the key seems to be this enzyme called MDH2, mellet dehydrogenase 2. It's a mouthful, I know.
MDH2. Got it. And what does it do?
So MDH2, it's like, imagine it's the power plant of the cell, right? It helps produce energy. But it also plays a role in this thing called epigenetics.
Epigenetics. I've heard that word before.
Yeah, it's basically like the control panel for our genes. It determines which genes are turned on and which ones are turned off. It's kind of like the software that runs our DNA.
Okay, so MDH2, it's keeping the cells powered up and making sure the right genes are doing their thing. But where does glibenclamide fit into all of this?
This is where it gets interesting. Glibenclamide, it turns out, inhibits MDH2.
Inhibits, so it slows it down.
Exactly. And you'd think that slowing down such an important enzyme would be a bad thing, right? But when it comes to these old senescent cells, it seems to be beneficial.
Oh, how so?
Well, there are a few things. First, it seems to slow down that whole process of cellular senescence, so fewer cells become those grumpy zombie cells in the first place.
Okay, so less grumpy old cells. That's good.
Right. And then it also helps calm down those zombie cells that are already there. It basically stops them from releasing as many of those inflammatory signals.
So it's kind of a two-pronged approach. It prevents new zombie cells and calms down the existing ones.
Yeah, exactly. And then, and this is really cool, it also seems to help those older cells function a bit better, more like younger, healthier cells.
Wow. So it's not just stopping the bad stuff, it's actually making things better.
It seems that way. And that's why this is so exciting. By targeting those senescent cells, we might be able to tackle the root cause of so many age-related problems.
Yeah, it's like fixing the source of the problem, not just treating the symptoms.
Precisely.
You know, we hear about other drugs that are being researched for anti-aging, like metformin and rapamycin. Does glibenclamide work like those?
That's a good question. And the answer is Not really. Those other drugs, they work in different ways. Metformin, it kind of messes with the cell's energy metabolism in a more general way, while rapamycin targets this pathway involved in cell growth.
Okay, so different mechanisms.
Right. But that's also what makes this so exciting, because maybe we can use them together. Hit those aging pathways from multiple angles.
A combination therapy kind of thing. But let's be real for a second. This all sounds amazing, but where's the research at right now? Can I go to my doctor tomorrow and ask for glibenclamide to stay young?
Haha. Not quite. I mean, the research is promising, but it's still early days. Everything we've talked about, it's mostly been in the lab, cells in a dish and in mice.
No human trials yet.
Not yet. There are a few key questions we need to answer first. Will it work the same way in humans? What's the right dose, the safe dose? And can it actually reverse aging or just slow it down?
So a lot more research needed.
Absolutely. But think about the possibilities. If this works out, it could be huge. We could be talking about people staying healthier for much longer.
Imagine pushing back the onset of age-related diseases by years, even decades.
Exactly. And improving people's quality of life as they age. That's the ultimate goal.
That would be incredible. So for everyone listening, what's the main takeaway from all this?
Well, the bottom line is that glibenclamide, this common diabetes drug, might have a whole other life as an anti-aging treatment. It seems to target those zombie cells we talked about, the ones that cause inflammation and drive a lot of the problems that come with getting older.
But, and this is important,
Right, but we're not there yet. We need more research, lots more, especially in humans. Until then, we can't say for sure if it'll work the same way outside the lab.
exactly. So don't go asking your doctor for an anti-aging prescription just yet. But keep an eye on this. It's definitely something to be excited about.
It really is. And it makes you think, what if we could actually slow down or even reverse aging? How would that change how we live our lives?
That is a really interesting question. If we knew we were going to be healthy for much longer, would we make different choices? What would we prioritize? It's something to think about for sure.
Definitely. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better.
Absolutely.